A very good morning and thanks for tuning in to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching the Breakfast News with me, Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us start the news bulletin with the headlines. Last full-fledged parliament session of present government before Lok Sabha polls next year. CCPA recommends dates for winter session to President Kovind. Session with the 20 sittings to stretch from 11th of December to 8th of January. Important legislations including Triple Talaq Bill and ordinances likely to be taken up. th East Asia Summit in Singapore. Prime Minister Modi to address plenary session. Attends Asia-India Informal Breakfast Summit. Calls for early conclusion of high-quality regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement that is beneficial to the people of all countries at the summit on Wednesday. BJP releases a second list of 31 candidates for Rajasthan polls. Congress yet to release a first list for the state. In Telangana, TDP and Congress released respective second list of candidates despite seat-sharing issues. 201 candidates in the fray in Mizoram and 2,932 in Madhya Pradesh after last day of withdrawal yesterday. Navy put on alert as cyclone GAJA expected to cross Tamil Nadu Puducherry coast today evening. Schools in Puducherry and 6 districts of Tamil Nadu closed today. Several low-lying areas likely to be flooded during landfall. Dams, lakes and river channels being monitored. And Mary Kom aims for historic 6th gold medal as Women's World Boxing Championship begins in Delhi from today. 300 participants from 72 countries taking part, including 10-member Indian team. The top story this morning, the government on Wednesday recommended its decision on the dates of the winter session of Parliament to President Ramnath Kovind. The Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs has recommended convening the winter session from 11th of December till 8th of January 2019. This session will be the last full-fledged Parliament session of the Narendra Modi-led government before the next year's Lok Sabha polls. The government is likely to push for the passage of the Triple Talaq Bill pending in the Rajya Sabha. It is also keen for the passage of the Indian Medical Council Amendment Ordinance and the Companies Amendment Ordinance in this session. Ahead of the session, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Vijay Goyal sought the cooperation of all political parties for the smooth functioning of Parliament during the 20-day-long session.
3 जो महत्वपूर्ण अध्यादेश हैं उसमें एक मुस्लिम महिलाओं के अधिकारों को लेकर है, दूसरा इंडियन मेडिकल काउंसिल के ऊपर है और तीसरा कंपनीज अमेंडमेंट के ऊपर है। इसके अलावा 8 राज्यसभा में और 15 लोकसभा में महत्वपूर्ण जो बिल हैं वो उस पर चर्चा होगी और मैं समझता हूं कि बहुत से और महत्वपूर्ण विषय आएंगे। सरकार पहले से ही कहती है कि वो हर विषय पर जो भी संसद में नियमों के अनुसार है उस पर चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार है।
And now let's get you all the news from Prime Minister Modi's Singapore visit. World leaders will today attend the East Asia Summit in Singapore, and Prime Minister Modi will be delivering the plenary speech at the summit in the morning. Ahead of the summit, the Prime Minister attended the ASEAN-India Informal Breakfast Summit and also gave away awards to the winning teams of the India-Singapore Hackathon 2018. At the 13th East Asia Summit, the Prime Minister will articulate his vision for further deepening India's relationship with the Southeast and East Asian neighbours. An East Asia Summit lunch is also scheduled for 10 a.m. And earlier on Wednesday, Prime Minister Modi attended the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Meet. He also gave a keynote address at the prestigious FinTech Festival, the world's largest event on financial technology, besides meeting with the leaders of various countries on the sidelines of the East Asia Summit. Here are all the details.
On the first day of his Singapore visit, PM Modi took part in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Summit. Leaders of 16 countries in the Asia-Pacific area reaffirmed their commitment to the RCEP after they failed to conclude the deal earlier this week. A joint statement said member countries closed 7 of the 18 chapters of the Trade Pact, up from 5 chapters before this week's meetings. The new chapters are sanitary measures and rules on industrial standards, but sensitive ones include e-commerce rules and lowering of tariffs are still up for negotiation.
India is strongly committed. And as regards concern, since the developmental circumstances of each of the country is different, and therefore he urged that any such agreement should be, which is finalized, should be modern, comprehensive, balanced and mutually beneficial.
Prime Minister Modi's jam-packed schedule also included meetings with the Prime Minister of Singapore on the sidelines of the East Asia Summit. Both exchanged views on cooperation in financial technology, enhanced connectivity and regional economic integration. Prime Minister Modi and US Vice President Mike Pence also met to discuss a wide range of bilateral and global issues of mutual interests, including defense and trade cooperation, ways to counter terrorism and the need for maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific.
There was a lot of discussion on energy. This is a new sector in Indo-US relations. We have begun importing oil and gas from the United States. It is expected to be valued at about $4 billion this year. And we expressed our readiness to import more gas and more oil from the United States as a way of expanding trade. Another area which we felt also would be important on the economic front would be the defense sector. There, of course, both sides agreed that there has been a substantial enhancement in our defense relationship.
The day also saw Modi meeting Prime Ministers of Australia and Thailand to discuss ways to strengthen ties, including in areas of trade, defense and security. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi delivered a keynote address at the FinTech Festival or Financial and Technology event. He said in the last few years, India has taken a leap in technology, pitching India as best investment destination for FinTech companies and startups. The Prime Minister said the world's largest infrastructure has been created with the help of biometric identity, new bank accounts and cell phones. The PM also launched Application Programming Interface Exchange, a global FinTech platform.
There is an explosion of fintech innovation and enterprise in India. It has turned India into a leading fintech and startup nation in the world. The future of fintech and Industry 4.0 is emerging in India. Our youth are developing apps that are making the dream of paperless, cashless, presenceless, and yet safe and secure transactions possible for all.
The two-day Singapore visit will see the Prime Minister take part in the East Asia Summit. This is PM's second visit to Singapore this year and his fifth engagement at the East Asia Summit. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Prime Minister Modi also attended the gala dinner hosted by the Prime Minister of Singapore on Wednesday, and Prime Minister Modi, along with other East Asia Summit leaders, interacted before the gala dinner. The MEA in its tweet said, Mahatma's message of peace lighting the way. Vaishnav Janto lights up at the convention centre at Singapore as the PM Modi arrives for the dinner. And now let's get you all the news and updates from 5 election-bound states. First up, news from Rajasthan. The BJP has announced its second list of 31 candidates for the Rajasthan Assembly election, dropping 15 sitting MLAs, including 3 ministers. The BJP has so far announced the names of 162 candidates in the 200-member assembly. Outgoing Minister Babulal Verma, Rajkumar Rinwa and Dhan Singh Rawat have been denied tickets. Remember, assembly election in Rajasthan will be held on 7th of December. The party had 163 of the 200 assembly seats in the state in 2013. Staying with Rajasthan, poll authorities have received a total of 145 nominations from 119 candidates in Rajasthan on Wednesday. Many Congress hopefuls have also filed their nominations, even though the party is yet to announce its list of candidates. So far, 152 candidates have filed 192 sets of nominations. The last day for the filing of nominations is 19th of November. And former Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot and Pradesh Congress Committee President Sachin Pilot on Wednesday announced that they will contest the 7th of December Assembly election in the state. The party is, however, yet to announce their constituencies. Now, Gehlot is at present MLA from Jodhpur's Sardarpura constituency and is likely to be repeated from there itself. And Sachin Pilot, who has reportedly never contested an assembly election before but has been the party's Lok Sabha MP from Ajmer, might contest from the same district. Now, the Congress is yet to announce its candidates list for the Rajasthan assembly elections. And the Congress and TDP released their respective second list of candidates for the Telangana polls. The two parties are yet to thrash out issues over seat sharing. Besides the two parties, the alliance comprises Telangana Jan Samiti, which is insisting on contesting 12 seats as against the 8 allotted, and CPI. The second list of Congress comprised 10 nominees, and with this, the total number of candidates declared by the party so far has gone up to 75. TDP named 2 candidates in its second list, in addition to the 9 which were announced earlier. And on Wednesday, CPI also announced nominees for the 3 seats that it would contest. More news from Telangana. The Telangana Rashtriya Samiti on Wednesday announced 10 more candidates for the 7th of December assembly elections in the state. The party had earlier declared candidates for 107 assembly segments. The total number of constituencies is 119. Candidates for the remaining 2 seats would be declared in 1 or 2 days after consultations. TRS is going alone in the polls. The process of filing nomination concludes on 19th of November. Meanwhile, caretaker Chief Minister and TRS Supremo K. Chandrasekhar Rao filed his nomination papers for the Gajwel Assembly constituency. The Congress has pitted Venteru Pratap Reddy against him. Caretaker Irrigation Minister T. Harish Rao, who is contesting from Siddipet constituency, also filed his nomination. BJP candidate N. Ramachandra Rao filed his papers from Malkajgiri Assembly constituency. He is the floor leader for the BJP in the Legislative Council. News from poll-bound Chhattisgarh. Campaigning gained momentum in Chhattisgarh for the second phase of voting on 20th of November, and star campaigners of various parties are touring different districts of the state to canvass support for their respective candidates. Home Minister Rajnath Singh, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and star campaigner of BJP and actress Hema Malini addressed election meetings at various places of the state to seek support for the BJP candidates. Addressing an election rally in Bilaspur, Home Minister Rajnath Singh thanked the people of the state for supporting BJP. He also mentioned about his party's work done in the interest of the state and for the poor.
गरीब के परिवार में भी शौचालय बनने चाहिए, केवल अमीरों के परिवार में ही शौचालय नहीं होनी चाहिए। गरीब परिवार के माताओं बहनों की इज्जत और अजमत होती। इस हिंदुस्तान में चिंता करने वाली पहली सरकार यदि कोई आई है, तो मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में पहले भाइयों हम लोगों की सरकार आई। ये लोग तो यह नहीं चाहते थे कि छत्तीसगढ़ अलग से राज्य बन जाए, उत्तराखंड अलग से राज्य बन जाए, झारखंड अलग से राज्य बन जाए, लोग नहीं चाहते। लोग कहते थे छोटे छोटे राज्य बन जाएंगे, संसाधन कहां से आएगा, ये तो ऐसे ही गरीब हैं, पिछड़े हुए हैं, और गरीब हो जाएंगे, पिछड़े हो जाएंगे।
And Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also addressed his first election rally in Dhamtari and Raigad districts. Targeting the Congress at the rally, he accused the party of ignoring the state and its people during their rule.
छत्तीसगढ़ जैसे राज्यों को विरासत में कांग्रेस ने नक्सलवाद दिया। मित्रों, कांग्रेस इस अराजकतापूर्ण, विभाजनकारी और अलगाववाद और अराजकता को बढ़ावा देने की दुरभिसंधि को पूरी तरह समाप्त करने के लिए लोकतंत्र में एक अवसर 5 वर्ष में हम सबके सामने आता है।
And Congress President Rahul Gandhi on Wednesday promised to install a people's government in Chhattisgarh. Addressing a rally in Korba for the second phase of polling in the state, Rahul Gandhi said that Chhattisgarh was among the richest in the country in terms of water, forests, mines and minerals, but people have remained poor due to the policies of the BJP government. Now, invoking his family ties with the state, the Congress chief said that if the party came to power in the state, it would enforce the Land Acquisition Act and facilitate a loan waiver for farmers, besides providing them bonus and MSP for their crops. Rahul Gandhi also held the public meetings at Bilaspur and Bhilai to canvass for his party candidates.
आज छत्तीसगढ़ में बिना आपसे पूछे, बिना किसानों से, आदिवासियों से, गरीब लोगों से पूछे आपकी जमीन छीन ली जाती है। और जब आपकी जमीन पर उद्योग नहीं लगता, 5 साल के अंदर उद्योग नहीं लगता, तब भी आपको आपकी ही जमीन वापस नहीं मिलती है और आपको सही कॉम्पनसेशन भी नहीं मिलता। कांग्रेस पार्टी की यहां सरकार आने वाली है, तो मैं आपको यहां से आश्वासन देना चाहता हूं कि जैसे ही छत्तीसगढ़ में कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार आएगी, वैसे ही जमीनी अधिग्रहण बिल छत्तीसगढ़ में हम लागू कर देंगे।
And a total of 538 candidates withdrew their names from the Madhya Pradesh election. Now, 2,932 candidates are left for the 230-member assembly polls to be held on 28th of November. Meanwhile, Chief Election Commissioner O.P. Rawat has said that proceedings at 14,000 polling booths in the state will be webcast. The measure was being taken as part of efforts to ensure free and fair elections. He said this while ending the Election Commission's 2-day tour of the state to review poll preparations.
कमीशन ये अब दावे के साथ कह सकता है कि मध्य प्रदेश में सारे अधिकारियों ने बहुत कर्मठता से, लगन से और मेहनत से नेतृत्व के निर्देशों का पालन करते हुए काम किया है और तैयारियां बहुत संतोषजनक स्तर पर पहुंची हैं और उम्मीद की जानी चाहिए कि अगले 12 दिनों में भी इन तैयारियों का पर्याप्त प्रभाव पड़ेगा और मध्य प्रदेश में अच्छा चुनाव, फ्री, फेयर और क्रेडिबल इलेक्शन हो सकेगा।
News from poll-bound Mizoram, where a total of 201 candidates are in the fray for the Mizoram Assembly election after 3 nominees opted out of the contest on Wednesday. Yesterday was the last day for the withdrawal of nomination papers, and according to officials, 212 nomination papers were received till Friday, with 8 nominees, including Chief Minister Lal Thonola, contesting from 2 seats each. During scrutiny, all of the nomination papers were found to be valid. 3 nominees withdrew their candidature on Wednesday. Election to the 40-member Mizoram Assembly would be held on 28th of November. Let's now get to all the weather updates. The cyclonic storm GAJA is set to make landfall between Cuddalore and Pamban coast of Tamil Nadu this evening. According to Met Department, the cyclone is expected to intensify further into a severe cyclone during its mid-sea phase later today and weaken into a cyclone while reaching the shores. with the Tamil Nadu government already declaring that more than 30,000 rescue personnel were on standby. All educational institutions in Puducherry and Karaikal regions are closed for today. The Indian Navy too has been put on high alert in view of cyclone GAJA approaching the coast of South Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Navy officials said that the Eastern Naval Command has assumed a high degree of readiness to render necessary humanitarian assistance. Now, two naval ships, namely Ranveer and Khanjar, are also on standby to proceed to the most affected areas to undertake humanitarian aid and distress relief. On to some other news, ISRO successfully launched its latest communication satellite GSAT-29 on Wednesday. It's a fifth launch this year. The GSLV Mark III D2 rocket carrying the satellite was launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota at 5:08 p.m. on Wednesday. ISRO scientists cheered the launch, which marked the injection of India's 33rd communication satellite into a geosynchronous orbit 16 minutes after liftoff. The 3,423 kilogram GSAT-29 carries Ka and Ku band high-through transponders. The satellite is aimed at providing high-speed communication services to remote places in the northeast of the country and also Jammu and Kashmir. And it is intended to serve as a test bed for several new technologies. The GSAT-29 has a mission life of 10 years. The launch was crucial for ISRO as the same rocket would be used for the ambitious Chandrayaan-2 and the country's manned space missions as well. And addressing the media after the successful launch of GSAT-29, ISRO Chief K. Sivam said that the first unmanned program of Gaganyaan has been planned for December 2020.
This mission is very important mission regarding GSLV Mark III program as well as GSAT satellite series, because this is the second successful mission of GSLV launcher, a Mark III launcher. That clearly shows that now the heaviest launcher of India is completed its development flight and entering majestically into these operational groups of launches of ISRO, that is along with the PSLV and GSLV.
And Vice President Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have congratulated ISRO scientists for the successful launch of the heavy-lift GSLV rocket, saying that it would boost the communication services in the remotest corners of the country. Big story coming in from Kerala. Well, with just 2 days left for the start of the annual pilgrim season at the Sabarimala shrine, the Kerala government has scheduled an all-party meeting for today to discuss various issues. The Supreme Court on Wednesday once again refused to stay its verdict, which allowed the entry of women of all age groups into the Kerala's Sabarimala temple. The apex court had earlier declined a similar plea while agreeing to hear in open court a batch of petitions seeking review of its 28th of September verdict. The 2-month-long pilgrimage season commences on 17th of November, which attracts millions of devotees to Sabarimala. Our top international focus: after months of wrangling, Britain's Brexit journey took a significant leap forward as British Prime Minister Theresa May secured support from her cabinet for her draft divorce deal with the European Union. May said that she had won the backing of her senior ministers after a debate that lasted 5 hours. She said it was a decisive step in the progress of Brexit and would allow the government to be finalised. The EU's chief negotiator also said that it was in both sides' interests. The withdrawal agreement covers so-called divorce issues. It includes a commitment to protect the rights of EU nationals in the UK and Britons living in the EU to continue living, working and studying. There is also a planned 21-month-long transition period after the UK leaves the EU in March 2019 and also a financial settlement from the UK. Cabinet backing gave the Prime Minister crucial breathing space, but Theresa May must now get the deal through the House of Commons.
The Cabinet has just had a long, detailed and impassioned debate on the draft withdrawal agreement and the outline political declaration on our future relationship with the European Union. These documents were the result of thousands of hours of hard negotiation by UK officials and many, many meetings which I and other ministers held with our EU counterparts. I firmly believe that the draft withdrawal agreement was the best that could be negotiated. This is a decisive step which enables us to move on and finalise the deal in the days ahead.
All the sporting action now. The Women's World Boxing Championships will begin in New Delhi from today, and this 10th edition of the tournament is said to be the biggest ever, as more than 300 boxers from 72 countries are participating. Celebrated boxer MC Mary Kom is aiming for a historic 6th gold at the event, which is being hosted by India for the first time since 2006, when the country had topped the table with 4 gold, 1 silver and 3 bronze medals. Now, Mary Kom is currently tied with Katie Taylor on 5 gold medals, and 1 more will make her the most successful woman boxer in the country. In the last edition, India won just a silver through Sonia Lather in the 57-kilogram category. The 10-member Indian team led by Mary Kom is a mix of seasoned and young boxers. The 10-day championships will run till 24th of November and will feature a host of Olympic and World Championship medalists. And in cricket, India will clash with Ireland in their 3rd group game of the ICC Women's World T20 in Guyana today. The Indian team have won both of their first 2 games. They defeated New Zealand by 34 runs in the opener before beating Pakistan by 7 wickets in the 2nd game. Now, India currently sits 2nd in the 5-team Pool B behind leaders Australia, who have won all of their 3 matches and have already booked a place in the semi-finals. Now, a win for India against a bottom-placed Ireland today will give them a last 4 berth. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks so much for your time.